Yeah, regulatory failure is a slow burning thing. It's like the boiled frog thing, and what we see and typically call regulatory failure is really just the end game of something that's been developing along over a period of time. When I'm thinking about regulatory failure, whether it's the really obvious things that make it onto the front page of the paper or not, that's almost just really the symptoms of the underlying failure that has been bubbling away in the background for some time. And I think that it is a insidious thing that you need to be concerned about all the time. And I think it's something that creeps up on you in an environment where you have challenges around resourcing, potentially not fit for purpose regulatory frameworks, where you might have rapid evolution of the industry or domain that you're operating in, and it's a struggle to keep up. And those things emerge and present themselves as regulatory failure, which is pointed at the operational regulator, when in fact the failures have happened in the system way before then. And it's very hard to avoid kind of being comfortable with some things that aren't quite working as well because nothing bad's happened yet. And when you're in that situation where nothing bad's happened, it's also very hard to make the case for more investment. So that goes to my point that these things are things that we can't put the experience of regulatory failure in the rearview mirror because we've had a number of them and we've learned a bunch of lessons. It's a feature of our lives every single day. And that might sound a bit dramatic, but I think that you need to be really, really alert to it and think about all of the conditions that you operate in and the systems and approaches that you apply with regulatory capture and potential failure in mind in the way you design and think about things. I think the issues around capture are best addressed by talking about it, particularly with regulated parties as well as in your organisation and with your board, with your policy agency. I've been involved in a number of different collaborative activities between regulator and industry, and it's actually a common discussion, more than uncommon for me now, where we're trying to constantly work with the people we're regulating, because ultimately in many regulatory regimes, the people that are regulated have similar interests to the regulator, particularly, so safety where I'm at the moment. The people we're regulating want to operate safely. We want them to operate safely, shared interest. But we have different pressures. So simply, industry is trying to balance safety and cost. And sometimes cost wins. And if we're working collaboratively with industry and we're doing, particularly if it's a kind of a structured engagement, we speak openly about regulatory capture and, we're engaging with you effectively. We're trying to make sure that our shared interests are met, but we have a very different role in this to you, and we should work together, but we should also be explicit about the different hats we've got on. And as a regulator, we will always have the opportunity to step back and take action if that is the right thing to do, which shouldn't undermine the ongoing joint effort that we're making, kind of thing. So it's about openness and honesty and transparency about it. And from my experience, the people you deal with get it completely and they're willing to go with that. And, the most mature regulators, I think, have relationships with industries where they can do the collaboration and the hard-edge stuff at the same time, because there's respect for the roles and the importance of them, Yeah, I think the way you balance these things between being a collaborative regulator and a regulator that is willing to use all of the tools available when they're appropriate, is to have a clearly articulated strategy around that, a very well-defined kind of decision-making framework, a way of weighing up what the right intervention or activity is, being very transparent about that so that the people you're regulating understand that you are following a path that is not based on bias or whim, but is based on analytical rigour and the use of the appropriate weighing up of information. And then it's not personal. It's always very personal, but it's not. It's about a process, and it's about weighing up all of the relevant information and concluding that based on this, clearly this is the right outcome. And if that means you're being, suspended or prosecuted or something like that, if it's well articulated as the way the regulator operates and there's trust in the process for doing that, then I think you can manage those things together. Yeah, I've been thinking about regulatory capture and regulatory failure a lot lately, and in the context of the way regulation seems to be heading, and this is a very sweeping statement, but is the expectations on regulators are changing quite a lot. They're driven a lot towards much more collaboration. In the world that I'm in, much more around not getting in the way of economic development and innovation. And those things, the need to do that, I think, is looming very large for us. You've got to focus on how you do that without ever losing sight of the importance of maintaining a strong focus on those very well connected issues of regulatory capture and regulatory failure.